Is there a heater right above my head? Hello and welcome to the interview today. To get started, could you tell me a little bit about yourself? What exactly is he wanting to hear from me? Should I tell him about my favorite food or where I went on holiday last? I really wish I took my jacket off. You're losing him. Have I not said anything for 10 seconds? Alright, just say anything. Tell him about your family. Everyone loves listening to that. Say your name at least. Wait, what's my name?
Can you tell me about yourself? This is almost guaranteed to be your first interview question, whether that's at PwC for an audit interview, Goldman Sachs for a banking interview, or even your university application. The way you answer this question is either going to make or break the rest of the interview for you, as well as for the interviewer. Now, there's probably all sorts of things in your head when you hear the question, and you're probably thinking, what should I be saying? But in reality, there's only 3 things that you should cover when it comes to this question. That's right. We're going to be looking at these 3 things in this video, as well as covering 2 bonus tips for presentation to make sure that you nail the first question of your interview as perfectly as possible. So when you're asked,
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
the interviewer is not looking for you to give information about your family life, or what your pets are doing right now, or what kind of countries you've traveled to recently. But in the case of a job interview, the interviewer is only going to be concerned about how are you going to enable the company to make more money. So every sentence that you give in your answer has to tie back to how you specifically are going to add value and create more money for the company. So now that you've understood what the context of your answer should contain, it's time to give not your life story, but your professional story. Now look, the interviewer already has your CV, so don't just give a line-by-line repetition of what your CV contains. Rather, talk briefly about the responsibilities that you had, but more importantly, cover how you added value and your accomplishments in each role. Of course, the more objective that you talk about your roles and accomplishments, the better the interviewer will understand the change that you specifically made in that position. Now, in terms of the third point, when it comes to talking about all of your past roles and responsibilities and what you've achieved, not everything is going to be relevant for this new position that you're applying to, but that's okay. But what you want to make sure that you do is you study the job description. By studying the job description and talking about it in your interview answer is how you're going to be building up that connection between you and the interviewer. So far, what we've talked about is what you've done and what you want from this role. But your answer has to be more than just me, but rather what can we do together? By reading the job description, you can focus on the needs of their employer and start to incorporate them into your answers. So by saying phrases such as, I'm aware that you need X, Y, Z in this position, with the requirements taken from the job description, the interviewer will immediately start to see you on the team and solving the gap that they currently have. So going back to the previous part where you're talking about the accomplishments that you've already achieved in your previous roles, if the job description talks about a sales position, talk about how much sales numbers you brought in your previous role. And if it's a marketing position, then talk about some marketing research that you did that helped your company to grow its footprint. One other point that you might be thinking of is that the job that you're applying for isn't the job or level specifically that you're at right now or in any of your previous roles, but that's okay again. What you want to be talking about is by studying the job description, mention that you understand that this is for an associate level position and you're perhaps at an analyst level, but use examples that show initiatives that make you stand out as an analyst and ready for that step up. So talk about leadership positions, times when you took the initiative, or times when you stepped up when your manager or colleagues were away. And there's no shame in talking about any skills that you've identified from the job description and pointing them out. But by explaining how you're bringing yourself up to speed and get those qualifications, either professionally, online learning, or university modules, it shows number 1, that you've actually read the job description and you're ready for that step up. And number 2, you're in control of your weak points and you're working on bringing them up to speed. So overall, all parts of your answer when it comes to answering this question should cover why are you here? What have you done so far that you can do in this new position? And how can you help your interviewer achieve their objectives and goals? Now, there's 2 parts I want to talk about when it comes to the presentation style of the way that you answer this question to make sure that you perfect this answer as best as possible. The first point is around the way people normally answer these questions. When it comes to the end of the answer that you're giving, you normally end up saying, and this is why I've ended up here. Or yeah, and that's about it. And that's why I'm here right now. But ending your answer this way shows to the interviewer that you're not really sure why you're here in the first place and that you're here perhaps by chance. What you want to do is use the end of your answer for this question to communicate to the interviewer that you're here with a purpose to help you as well as him. Rather than ending your answer in a lackluster way, you want to show that you have purpose with being in the seat right now today in front of the interviewer and make sure that he hires you for the role. A good example of how you should end your answer can be, so when looking for my next step up, I came across this opportunity which showed growth potential for my career, as well as me being able to utilize my knowledge and skills to add value to the team. This shows you're here with a purpose and you know what the job entails. The last point I want to make sure is that make sure you practice this answer. As said at the beginning, this will almost be asked at every single interview you're going to have in your life. The answer is going to be approximately 45 to 60 seconds long, but make sure you practice and practice again the answer that you'd like to give. There's going to be different iterations that you make during each new job interview, and it's going to perfect the answer that you give. But due to the importance of this answer, make sure you write it down, say it to your friends and colleagues before the interview, as well as say it out loud to yourself so you know how it sounds and what you're trying to say makes sense. That's the end of this video. Make sure you subscribe if you found this useful, and now you can say you're ready for your interview and you're going to perfect that first question that's guaranteed to come up.